Good morning and welcome to the Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Opening Bell and I'm Santosh Nair. Well, in the spotlight section today, we shine the light on diagnostic stocks, which had a fantastic run yesterday. We saw huge moves in stocks like Dr. Lal PathLabs, Metropolis Healthcare and Thyrocare. Now, what exactly is driving sentiment for these stocks? Now, the obvious reason is that there's been an increase in COVID cases globally, and that in turn is leading to concerns that while there could be concerns as far as the general population is concerned, but at the same time it's being seen as something that could be beneficial for some of the diagnostic companies. Now, Dr. Lal PathLabs, Metropolis and Thyrocare all had a good run last year at the peak of the COVID season. Margins were pretty strong and revenues also grew very sharply, but since then the stocks have been under pressure. Particularly this year has been quite a forgetful one for almost all the diagnostic stocks. We have Metropolis Healthcare, which is down by close to about 60% from its highs. Dr. Lal PathLabs is also down by close to about 36 odd percent. Both stocks have managed to trim some of the gains over yesterday, but at the same time the near-term outlook doesn't appear to be very bright. Most analysts tracking the stock feel that the rebound is likely to be a temporary one, because margins still are nowhere near what they were at the peak of the COVID wave, and given that competitive intensity in the sector is rising, it's unlikely that they'll be able to regain those margins anytime soon. Now, interestingly, in a recent conference call, Dr. Lal PathLabs CEO Dr. Manchanda had said that the competitive intensity somehow seems to be abating a little bit. Now, competitive intensity was one of the big reasons why diagnostic stocks have been under pressure of late. Other newer entrants are entering the field, and especially those with deep pockets, players like Lupin and some other pharma companies as well. So, they are all stepping up their game, and this is leading to pressure on margins for the existing players now. But according to the Dr. Lal PathLab management, now that many of the startups too are finding it difficult to raise funding, so some bit of those competitive pressures have eased. Besides, the same kind of excitement that many of the bigger players had also been showing early on, that also seemed to have abated a bit. Dr. Manchanda did seem quite confident in the at the earnings call post the second quarter earnings, but that does not appear to be reflecting in the stock so far, although we have seen some kind of a bit of a rally yesterday. With that, we move on to the markets setup for this morning. Nifty, SGX Nifty futures are indicating a firm opening for Indian equities. Now, interestingly, yesterday shares fell sharply, this despite the positive global cues, and the selling pressure was much more intense in mid-cap stocks. The Nifty mid-cap index was down by close to about 1.5%. That's been one segment which has seen a lot of selling over the last week. Some bit of it also has to do with selling related to margin pressure. Whenever share prices go down, traders with exposure to those stocks have to put up more margins with the broker, and if they are unable to do that, they are forced to unwind their position. So, that is something that is causing the pressure on these stocks. The fall in Nifty and Sensex was also yesterday pretty steep, in the sense that they had opened on a steady note, and then as the day progressed, the selling pressure kept intensifying, and this is happening even as the overall market sentiment globally appears to be good. Today seems it looks like today will be a better day for bulls, given that US indices have extended their winning streak to the second successive session, and also there's almost a 500 points jump in the Dow. Quick look at the FNOQs this morning. We are seeing long unwinding in futures of MCX, Delta Corp and Cropton, and we are seeing short covering in futures of Metropolis Healthcare and Divis, and also some short build up seen in futures of City Union Bank, Torrent Pharma and Dixon. In the newsmakers section, Ajanta Pharma is likely to be in the limelight. Now, according to a report in CNBC TV 18 quoting sources, the promoter group entities may sell close to about 4.58% stake in the 4.56% stake, I'm sorry, for roughly about 650 crore. The deal is likely to happen through a block deal, and the lower end of the price range is likely to be at close to 1,113 rupees, which is a 5% discount to the market price. Reliance Retail is the other newsmaker of the day. The company has said that it has acquired Metro Cash and Carry for about 2,850 crore. It has signed a definitive agreement to acquire the entire company. Now, Metro India serves kiranas and other small businesses and merchants, and it generated sales of close to about 7,700 crore in FY22. The deal, subject to all regulatory approvals, is likely to be consummated by March 2023. Alkyl Amines is the other newsmaker for this morning. The DGTR has recommended extension of anti-dumping duty on monosopramine imports. The anti-dumping duty on these imports from China will continue for 5 years. The company had sought an extension of anti-dumping duty on this particular drug. Reliance Capital, now Torrent Group has emerged as the highest bidder at 8,600 crore. And with that, let's move on to the hot brokerage stocks for this morning. Bandhan Bank is the stock in limelight today. Jefferies has a buy rating on the stock with a price target of 340 rupees. Now, according to reports, Bandhan Bank has received a bid for selling about a little over 8,000 crore of its bad loan portfolio, and it is expected to get close to about 800 crore for it. Now, this accounts for close to about, according to Jefferies, this accounts for about 15 to 55% of the FY23 profit before tax. This depends on the value that will be assigned to the amount that the bank is getting. Now, remember, the bank won't get the entire sum at one go. And according to brokerage house Jefferies, the asset qualities and valuations are now beginning to appear reasonable after the recent sell-off. And with that, let's move on to the stock takes, the stocks which have caught our attention, beginning with Sula Vineyards. Well, the IPO will make its debut on the bourses today. Now, so far the indications are that the listing could be a rather tepid one. The issue price was 357 rupees, but at this point in time, the stock is quoting around 342 rupees in the grey market. Now, while the issue did get fully subscribed, the demand, the excitement for the IPO did not seem to be all that great, and that is leading players to feel that because the demand was just about moderate during the IPO period, there is unlikely to be any major follow-up buying in the stock, and that could keep the price in check. Well, and with that, the markets have opened. The Sensex is up by about 275 points in early trade. We are seeing good strength in the Nifty Bank and Nifty Midcap Index as well, both of which are up by close to about 0.5%. Adani Enterprises, the Adani Ports are among the key gainers in early trade, and so is ICICI Bank. All stocks are up by close to about 1%. ONGC Airtel is also up by close to about 1%. On the NSEs, we are seeing a good market breadth. 1,400 stocks up and 519 stocks are down in early trade. And with that, we move on to the last stock on our watch list this morning. According to Nomura, pharma stocks are likely to are seeing strong demand with investors. They're gaining favor back. Yesterday, we already saw a good run up in these shares. According to Nomura, it is seeing strong demand for antiviral drugs in the US. The brokerage feels that Q3 sales is likely to see increase of close to about $200 to $250 million in the third quarter. Tamiflu, azithromycin, albuterol and amoxicillin are among the high margin drugs which are likely to see demand, and Nomura is of the view that Lupin is likely to be one of the major beneficiaries of this trend. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Opening Bell. Thank you for watching. Please do send in your feedback, and we'll be back with you at 3 p.m. today. For all news, views and analysis, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.